Yeah.
So morning everyone, or afternoon, wherever you are. This is Michele Courage here, Michele from the Raise Your Vibe podcast. And I have the most exciting guest called Rebecca Nicholls. Did I say it right?
That's correct, Rebecca Nicholls.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I've just listened to, I don't know, you sent it to me, this International Women's Day little piece that you talked about.
Yes, that was my podcast show, yes.
Yeah, and I thought, oh my God, I'm so excited to speak to you. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself, and then I'll carry on and say what I wanted to say.
Well, thank you so much for having me. So I guess I'm an energy healer / transformational coach. I mean, I incorporate lots of different techniques to create a space of wholeness within the being, you know, because that's important for us to go forward in life, you know, so that we feel already that we have everything within us to show up to life. You know, we don't have to seek anything outside of ourselves. That was like a long journey throughout my whole life of finding myself and having to go through all these really difficult and traumatic things, which I feel even now I'm like, was it necessary, or was it just because I was in this shadow aspect of myself, not being able to see my light?
Yeah, it's so interesting because I listened to your little excerpt that you sent me this morning. I don't know, was that part of your podcast? Because it didn't
part of my podcast. Yeah, that was
yes.
Like, so basically I have 2 podcasts. One is just me, and I share my own story, my life, a little more personal. And then there's another one where I interview guests just like this. And
awesome. Yeah. Well, this one was about International Women's Day, and I presume it's International Women's Day with you.
Yes.
It was here yesterday because I'm in New Zealand and you are in the UK.
Exactly. So I'm in the UK and the rest of the world, America, we're celebrating today. So I've got my glass of wine.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's early morning, so I've got coffee and you've got wine. Early morning in New Zealand, yeah.
Monday night here in London. So
yeah.
I'm so amazed that we can do this.
It's so amazing. But you know what struck me about that piece that you said this morning, this International Women's Day, is the power that you were talking about. And my guides were just saying, oh my God, you two are the biggest warriors. Yeah. You've got such big personalities and we've had to overcome those. And I just want to recognize you as a galactic soul, and the fact that somewhere in the universe we are just ace warriors, and we're ace warriors here on earth as well. So yeah, I mean,
I feel that
I just hear it in the power of your voice.
Yes, it's good. It wasn't like we're in resonance. Like I always felt like it came to this planet, and like I had a very strong sense of clairsentience and clairvoyance from a very young age, and I didn't understand it. But it makes sense because my mum is a psychic, but my mum is one of those psychics who's very much in denial of her own power, which it can be. It's upsetting to see because she would tell me things and say things to me and go, oh, you're going to do, and we were told from a young age, like we would come into money, big money, and I won the lottery. So it was like,
oh my God, you did? How cool was that?
That was manifestation. That story in itself, well, we'll get into it. I mean, look, it's all been crazy, but that was the conversation I had with the moon, and the moon was telling me this, and then I would have this strong intuition to play the lottery. And then my intuition has just always been on point, and but then there's times where I've ignored it, and obviously then I've fucked up and things gone wrong.
You got 4x4 road.
Like I think there's something that I read somewhere and saying, look, if you really want to know how your third eye works and how because that's more or less our intuitive chakra. Like if you really want to know how it works, like ignore your intuition and then you will see what plays out in life. I mean, it's a horrible lesson to learn.
No, it's awful.
I kind of think, yes, okay, so really, you know, just a huge financial loss, a really severe sickness, disease. Okay, thank you. Okay, I get it now. Because actually, you know, I always think that if we are absolutely able to own all of it, then we can truly transform our lives. Otherwise, if we're looking like we didn't have play a part in whatever happened to us, then we deny and dilute our power, because we dilate our our ability to transform it is lessened. It's like we're always
it's really
that happened. It wasn't my fault. I had to do with it. I was like,
Yeah, because it's really interesting, you know, you come into this earth. I came in I mean, I didn't come in as a 6-foot being, but I chose to be in a really strong, big body that, you know, and I had this big personality, and I felt that I needed to tone it down and drop it down. And, you know, and in the later years, I mean, immigrating to New Zealand was a big thing, because New Zealanders are, as a whole, a lot less, they don't necessarily always, all of, you know, in my experience, step up and be powerful.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, even when I was in South Africa, I was always gunning for the underdog. I want you as a woman to stand up. And when I was growing up, watching my girlfriends go through issues with boyfriends and stuff, it's like, why are you putting up with that shit?
Right.
I would never put up with it. I would never be. But then I had to fall in love to go through one of those, to feel what it felt. I mean, I didn't fall in love. I fell in love, but I also went through a massive like life lesson where my whole confidence dropped to an absolute nothing.
Same as me. And I think sometimes, yes, you have to understand what it's like to experience a loss of self-esteem, a loss of self-worth,
that ultra vulnerability,
and that place where you're, yes, and I think that's where you find your power. You find your power again, and being able to sit with that and expose that and share that even with the world. I think I've shared so much of my darkness with the world that
yes,
good, because now there's nothing. See, I think with all the shadow stuff, I think you just have to keep speaking it and dealing with it until it actually has no emotional charge attached to it.
Absolutely, there's nothing attached to it.
Exactly. And I think that's a process that people like give up and it gets uncomfortable. And I think that you keep going into those dark places. That's where the healing happens. That's where the transformation happens. I mean, I happen to have quite a lot of Pluto in my natal chart, which makes sense because I'm all about transmuting. I never stay in a dark place for too long. And,
yes,
and
me either.
You know, it can fuel me, you know, like, okay, like a little bit of challenge and a little bit of adversity is why we're here as well. Like, we don't grow from those spaces. We don't develop our character and strength in the good times.
No. And I mean, that's the thing. I think, you know, feeling that strength and me choosing to come to New Zealand as well as a soul, to be in a country, you know, where there is, I mean, the Maori people are exceptionally strong. The women are so strong, but yet they are, you know, still as women all over the world have never truly stepped up into their power. Of how sovereign they are, because what you were talking about in that International Women's Day was it's not about man bashing. It's about men stepping up to match that without wanting to destroy it.
So coming up for me now, like everywhere I go is about this whole, like the emasculation of the man, and then how
it's terrible.
So how can a man, what does a woman really want from a man? She wants containment. She wants safety. She wants, I don't even know if it's a level of security. I think we need to find that from it. You know, I really think all of us individually have to find that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I am married to the most incredible man. He is so strong, but he chooses, he has the ability to shred me, but he chooses not to. And that is exactly what you want in a partner in life. I mean, it doesn't have to be a man or a woman, you know, it can be whatever.
A woman wants to be all things. She doesn't want to be feminine. She wants to be in her masculine, and she doesn't want to be dumbed down. And you know what I mean? Like I can give it if I want to give it. You know,
well, we're multifaceted, multi-dimensional beings. I mean, we should be able to be powerful and strong.
Passionate. Like, why should a woman be one thing or another? You know,
exactly.
Let's just be whatever we want to be.
And I watched along the you know, in my life, watching women dumb themselves down so that they could be loved, so that they could be liked. And oh my word, it goes against my grain completely, because I would get so frustrated with my girlfriends accepting this substandard behavior. And then, you know, I was labeled the ice queen. I was labeled, oh, you know, at the time growing up, many people were, you know, in South Africa, it's a very conservative society. So,
Yeah.
you know, I got labeled, oh, you know, you obviously don't like men, and, you know, you must possibly like women. And that had a negative connotation to it.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I mean, you know what, I kind of got like, well, no, I mean, I love men, but I don't want a man who's going to try and stand on top of me to be king.
Yeah. Like allow you to be like I wouldn't even say equal, because we're not the same. I mean, the idea that we're the same is ridiculous. We're not the same, and we shouldn't try to be the same. You know, we should be.
No.
Women should be allowed to be women and in their divine feminine, and men should be able to be in their masculine, and we should be able to ultimately be both, because we are.
But how amazing is it that we have male and female on this planet, whereas in the galaxy we are just energy.
Yes.
So we would be absolutely sovereign and absolutely equal. There would not be gods as in man and female, male and female. We would be completely, I would say, androgynous, you know.
Yes.
That energy together would be completely equal in both masculine and feminine.
Yes. There's lots of ways to look at this now, and there's so many, like, you know, different variations of sexuality now. Like, I can't even
absolutely
what's out there now and what you can be, you know. And I've often thought about my own sexuality, like, am I really, you know, I've had experiences with women that I wouldn't lean towards that, but then I go sometimes question it. Well, maybe there was the right woman I met and she was loving and kind, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
I put myself in that position, or like,
well, I mean, I you know, I grew up often a lot of the time when I was growing up, and especially when I started getting into the stage where a lot of women and my friends were having babies and stuff, I was just so not into it that I even questioned whether I was female enough. As a girl, as a woman, you know, was I womanly enough to be a wife? Even though, I mean, I knew that I wasn't more sexually attracted to women than men, but I was more attracted to men. But was I feminine enough for that? Which is ridiculous, because looking back, you know, you look at pictures of yourself when you grow up, and you look back and you look at the picture and you go, oh my God, you're so beautiful. You know, we always do that. We look at the picture then and go, oh my God, you were stunning. If I knew what you looked like then, you would have had so much more confidence, blah, 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 blah. I know.
And I think we shouldn't ever, confidence is something I think a lot of people need to work on, whether you're a man or a woman. I think
massively.
It's like, okay, even self-esteem and self-worth. I mean, the reason why they start with self, you know, the relationship we have with self is probably the most important relationship, and how we own our feelings around those things. You know what I mean? Like, you said this and it made me feel like this. So now, like, another person is responsible for the way you feel. You know,
yes, and that was one of my biggest lessons, is learning that other people's feelings is just their feelings. It's not mine. You know what? And I mean, I'm still working on it. Obviously, I get triggered, you know, but at least.
The same this morning, crying his eyes out, telling me how I'd said this and said that, and he feels like this. I had to
dagger to the heart.
You know, it's that age where they're just trying to navigate through.
Figure out where they are.
The thing is, if you're not like kind of very clear with, like, well, no, I said this and you made it mean this, and therefore now you're internalizing that as like, I don't love you as a mum, or whatever it is. You're like, you're being mean. No, like, you know how it goes with these kiddos.
Yes, it's being a mom and being an entrepreneur is, I think, two of the hardest parts to go.
But I think I also think it's a beautiful thing that I'm in a situation I am with him, and I look at my own childhood and upbringing, and think about the conversations that my mum didn't have with me, and how I had to navigate through emotions. And had I had those conversations, the conversations I'm having with my son now, I wish I'd had with my mum, because it would have been a lot easier to go, it's okay that you feel that way, but let's not blame me for the way you feel.
Yes, exactly. Own your feelings.
Own it and say, okay, mum, you triggered me, or you're annoying me and you're rushing me and I'm upset, and yes, I'm tired because I haven't had enough sleep, and you're right, I am messing around. All these things, like, I'm not only being honest with him, and it's like how you process that.
But it is a tough lesson as a kid, because I mean, I've brought my daughter up to be completely, for me, my biggest thing is if she's got self-worth, then my job is done. Yes. Because the thing is, she can really navigate everything.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you know what, it's tough because as they get older, they start pushing back harder because they're independent. You've brought them up to be like that, and you've got to sometimes look back and go, oh my goodness, I've done a good job. This is why this pushback is happening, and to navigate that on another level is another story, you know.
Absolutely. I know, it's just another level. It's it doesn't, does it end?
Because our learning doesn't end. No wonder we've had so many lifetimes on this earth.
So much to learn. Well, I'm like, it's so funny because when I was probably about 5-6 years old, and I was like, oh, so I'm back, and I'm like, telling all my friends at 5 years old that I'm back on the planet, and they're probably all like, what's she on, and I'm telling my mom oh, I'm here again, and she's like, cause she's not really she's not figured the whole thing out. It took have an awakening at 14 and have a Kundalini awakening. I took LSD. So psychedelics are one way of opening you up.
Oh, well, look, I've always known don't go there, because I think I've done it in previous lives and it probably hasn't ended that well. Because I'm so open, I think my guides have just always warned me, no alcohol, nothing. Just there's always been this fear of the loss of control. And whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know, because I've had to work through those control issues too.
I think if you're going to undergo something like having an ego death, there is no control, because you don't have a control at that point. Your whole entire identity, who you think you are as a human, is crushed.
And the thing is, I think, my biggest fears around using the psychedelics to get into that state is when our defenses are down on this earth. I believe that is when those really negative energies are able to slip into us. And that's why and I feel that is when you often hear of people who have jumped in front of a train or have jumped off a building or done something really stupid.
So much danger.
Well, it's not stupid. It's just...
No, I mean, I did a podcast talking about it because I feel like people going that route down plant medicine, psychedelics, it can, like I said, it's very, very helpful for helping a lot of people who are really mentally challenged to see that a lot of their challenges and a lot of their constructs that they've had, the destructive patterns in their mind, are thought from themselves. They've come from within them, and they're creating these destructive patterns. It allows them to see that, and it kind of does like a soft reset in the brain to erase a lot of those destructive thoughts. In my experience, that's what happened with me, but I've heard a lot of, and I've looked at a lot of literature. In the same breath, they are a lot of people that undergo that. It was really not a good experience for me in many ways, but it was. I was 14 and just with my friends and all that. Obviously, wasn't expecting that. Now you have it's a 6-hour session. You're with a psychologist.
You can do it in a safe environment.
It's a safe environment.
Supported.
Exactly. You're not just So I think absolutely just it's not for everybody. The consequences to all these things, if you're going to really go in and you are completely surrendering your whole entire life.
Well, I think you're moving up a staircase at a rate that probably you may not be able to handle as such, because I've every step is another part of that level of journey, and I think some souls want to skip the stairs and jump up a notch, and yes, you can. Even unconsciously, they may not even know that that's what their wishes are. But you know what? You still have to do the work. Whether you have it up, you jump up 4 stairs and you get to the level and you go, oh my God, okay. But I still believe you have to do the work. You have to do the unpacking and you have to do, the understanding.
And that's exactly the thing I talked about that day. Unpacking the trauma, like probably I needed therapy after that experience. And it gave me slight psychosis, but it also made me see that everything was an illusion, and that I was living in an illusion. And who the hell was I? Because I knew my identity had been formed from my experiences and what I'd experienced in my childhood, and that was quite traumatic. And then there was other things I experienced, like sexual abuse within the family. So it was like there was a lot of shame, there was a lot of resentment, there was a lot of guilt, there was a lot of,
and you have to unpack it. It has to be unpacked.
And hindsight's a great thing,
it is, isn't it?
It's like, what happened, and like it probably couldn't have been any other way, and that's something I've accepted. But I know there are many people out there who are trying to deal with the trauma of their lives and what they've experienced as maybe young children or maybe as adults. I just think get the help that you need.
Yes. And you know what, I mean there is a lot of strength that needs to come from that. I mean, I chuckle every day about my surname because courage, most people go, is that your real surname? It's like, yep, it is. And I have a good chuckle about the fact that I chose to marry a man and take his name on that has courage at the end. But it's because my guides probably, I mean, myself as my guide, because that would be my higher self, turning around and going, well, we'll give her that surname to remind her that this is what you're going to need to stand up and speak out. Because I've seen many lifetimes of mine where I have not spoken out, where I've dimmed my light, where I've taken the beating or taken the, and exploring your lifetimes, I think, is a very good way of seeing this perspective. The Akashic records are just an incredible way.
I did the past life regression, and I was a witch in every life. In many ways, I was just like, I was into nature, I was into herbal medicines, I was into the healing, I was into, in many ways, and actually there was one time that I couldn't speak about it because, I couldn't tell my family. Because of fear.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've seen myself burning. I've felt the flames at my feet. I've had my hands chopped off because I was a healer and used my hands. It's one of the blocks that I had moving through becoming a healer as such in this lifetime.
And earning money as well, and receiving money.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And learning that I didn't need to use my hands to heal in this lifetime. My whole body emanates that energy, that vibration.
Yeah, exactly. People say that even just listening to me or just being in my presence, that they can.
Absolutely, because you are a channel, and you, as I believe, the more you raise your vibration, the more the vibration will push out. Again, it triggers quite a few people because obviously it comes up against their vibration, which often sometimes, brings up their insecurities or stuff that needs to be released for them. And I've had that all my life. Every time I walk into a room, I would trigger like a few people, because I was a big personality. I still am. But it's learning to make peace with that and understanding that it's another's journey. If they're getting triggered by you, it is another's journey, as long as you come in with compassion, but not. I am now at that stage where I'm not prepared to dim my light anymore. It's just not an option.
Michele, my daughter's just woke up. I'm just gonna quickly go in.
Oh, sure.
Give me 1 second.
Oh, absolutely.
She was asleep, but she's screaming now.
That's okay, no problem.
Always the way.
Yeah.
When you don't want.
It is. I will talk a little bit about what I experienced the other night. I was asked to go and do a talk to a whole bunch of people around, well, actually I didn't actually know what I was going to speak about. I decided that I would know when I got there, and I realized when I got there that I was going to speak about this empowerment, this energy. When you stand up and you're standing in your power, you emanate this beautiful vibration coming out of you. And when you are talking or you anything that you create, anything that you do has this vibration that you put into it, that you actually really, it exudes out of you. Oh, what a cutie.
Here we go.
Well, Rebecca's got her kid in front of you. For those who are listening, you can also watch this on YouTube.
National Women's Day. This is what women have to do. We have to be
exactly.
And we can run businesses, and we can we try and do it all, but it's worth it. I mean, it's the one thing is that, you know, I do want to work on my dreams, and it's only been the past, I don't know, since I had my I would call it probably my third awakening, reawakening, or just kind of upgrade, or whatever it was. It was like staring at the moon, and the moon was like kind of talking to me. And I was like, how is this happening? It was just clear. Like, it was like my third eye was just like, and it was like, oh, and it was like, you were going to do this, you were going to, like, you know, help. And I was like, this is why you came here. What? And it didn't make sense to me at the time, but I was just, I trusted it in many ways.
Yes. Well, that's the thing. It's learning to work in that trust, and it's taken me a long time, because part of my journey has to come down here and overcome my anxiety. And obviously through control is how I managed when I was younger, how I managed my anxiety. If I had control, then I didn't have, you know, and I had a massive thing that happened to me that took away all my control.
Yeah.
And, I was literally on my knees.
I think it does that to you, because it shows you, like, you're not in control. Like, you being in control is actually blocking a lot of things.
Absolutely. And it's been a long journey to release that and allow the universe to reveal itself to me. So I can actually, allow the universe to shape me as I go along. But I think as women, it is such a difficult thing. And again, it comes back to this thing where women want to be this all powerful, I'm in control, blah, blah, blah. But, it doesn't sit well with a masculine balance of masculine and feminine.
That's the whole point of, like, the females that emasculate the men have been emasculating the men for a long time. But because the men, it's terrible, because the men don't know how to, when around a powerful woman, maybe a man doesn't know how to be in his power like that.
No, I think they're so intimidated by powerful, strong women who know their mind that, it takes a special kind of guy who, and I am not attracted to a man who's not in his power.
Yeah, no, totally.
So, but you and I are much more in our power, but then I'm sure you've had to work on your vulnerability and that balance. Exactly. And so have I.
My last relationship was my biggest teacher. It was the most painful one, but it taught me where I was putting my validation in a man and what my approval in a man. I think that was also the lack of male in my life, the masculine lack of in my own life. So you do see how, as you get older, you do see how things are playing out, from like the relationships you had as a child to the relationships that you attract into your life. And
and the choices that you make, allowing people in, and then going back, I think, and forgiving that soul on a 3D level or an earthly level, as opposed to understanding that beautiful soul loves you and you love that soul so unconditionally up in the galaxy that when you came down, you actually asked for that soul and made a contract with them to be that teacher for you. And when you start looking at it from that point of view, holy moly, that is a massive change.
Actually, shit, this person actually came to teach me, and it hurts. It's my biggest lesson. It's like my biggest pain is.
Exactly. And then to get to that point where you go, I love you so much. Thank you so much for giving me that lesson.
Yeah, I know.
That is a massive, massive step to actually within your heart really, truly move into that.
Happened to me even recently. I've gone through a whole process of going, thank you, and the hoponopono, and kind of like understanding how we were connected and stuff as well.
And understanding it's going to come up again.
No, I know. And people think forgiveness is like instant, or you should forgive straight away. I think you should allow people to go through the process of forgiving and know when they're doing it for them and how they're doing it, because everyone forgives differently and not everything is
Absolutely.
the same.
And you don't, I believe you don't have to physically actually say forgiveness, because I believe in a future timeline, if you look back into the timeline where you were being a shit to someone, or they were being a shit to you, and you actually go back, and this is what doing the work means, in your quiet time, imagining yourself going back into that spot and reacting differently and loving that person, that is doing the work. Because I believe you shift something, you shift a timeline for yourself.
You 100% do. I've felt that because I do that. I consciously am aware of the people that I've hurt. I'm consciously aware of the people that hurt me. I'm always working on healing those timelines and forgiveness and being in the now and consciously creating my future rather than like living in the past and thinking
exactly. And when somebody comes up in your, if you suddenly think about an old boyfriend and you have a look at what happened, you know that it's come up in your consciousness to actually go and unpack and sort it out, because it's come up for a reason, because possibly in that timeline you need to help then. So it would be incredible if we could actually start doing that as a whole and forgiving, because I believe somebody said to me, and it was so interesting. They said, in a future, if you wake up and you have this absolute epiphany, have you ever thought that in the future, your future self has actually just done a meditation and worked on this specific issue?
You know how you get those shivers? You ever get those shivers and it's just kind of like your whole body goes like that?
Yeah,
that's what happens. Something shifts in the timeline.
Exactly, because we are living all in concurrent timelines.
I say that someone's walked over your grave, it's kind of like whole body kind of like,
absolutely.
I just think there are glitches in the system. There's something is going on. Like I know something's shifting, something happening.
Absolutely. So the more we can do meditation and work through these things that pop up into our mind and make peace with the whole situation, I believe the more this timeline is going to move smoother, because it's like a domino effect, I believe.
No, 100%. Like even the time itself is an illusion. It's
absolutely.
We come from it. So this whole relationship we have with time, like when I'm working with people, I'm like, that's one of the patterns that I have to destroy the most. I think it's just kind of this whole linear way of thinking, because it ages us, and it just we get caught up in time.
Yes, so many people get stuck in the past. They get stuck in that, oh, she did that to me, I'm never going to ever speak to her, she's like a miserable mother, blah blah blah. But or father or whatever, boyfriend, whatever. But I think understanding that can be shifted now to give a free flow of energy through your body, because those stuck energies have to get stuck somewhere in this meat suit that we have chosen, and that energy gets stuck and then causes dis-ease in the body.
You're 100% right. I mean, I'm an energy healer, and so the work I do is transforming people. And I have my own story of chronic illness, so I know what causes disease more than
and it's not just this lifetime. I mean, you could be carrying. I know I have stuck energy in my legs, and legs is definitely old. It can be old lifetimes that you've brought through into this lifetime to shift. And I absolutely believe that. And my guides have confirmed it with me. And also, a stuck energy and that type of stuff, some of us have contracted to come in and actually clear for generations. Because if you're the black sheep of the family,
yeah,
be understanding of the fact that you're the one who's come to change it.
My family, I've cleared a ton of generational trauma.
Absolutely. By you being the one to say, it ends here. Exactly.
Already. Yeah, no, you're right. 100% you're right. Yeah. And that's just such work. That's such an honourable thing to do, because actually I'm doing this work is super heavy at times, you know, and we go through it, we clear, but it's also so important that we continue to expand. Like, so sometimes we're like, oh, I have to heal before I can do this, and actually doing the things you love and working towards a goal and your purpose and the things that light you up is part of the healing journey. You don't have to
absolutely, because then that vibration you send out is absolutely gorgeous. It's why my podcast is called Raise Your Vibe with Michele, because I'm working on raising my vibration as high as I can to reach my highest timeline in this lifetime.
And it's like opportunity that you have. I think people understand, like, what a beautiful world we live in so many ways, and it's just like an amazing planet. There's so much to explore.
Absolutely.
Want to be in the best shape of our lives. Want to be the best, highest vitality, you know, in terms of like strength and ferocity.
Exactly. And I can tell you the secret is to follow the joy.
Yeah.
Whatever lights you up, the thing that makes you happy, do more of that. Do more of that.
I think we can, like, not age if we just have that inner child at play all the time. Like, you know, I'm in the playground with my children, like on the swings with them and laughing, like, what the fuck?
Absolutely. I mean, that, I must admit, I have taken a long time. I got a new guide who came in around November, and I have talked about this in the previous podcast, but he came in specifically to help me lighten up.
Yeah, I like that.
You know, because I was starting to get very serious. I mean, I have been very serious.
That's the magic in the lightheartedness. The magic isn't in the heavy stuff. The lightness, like, I mean, Jesus said you have to be a child to inherit the kingdom of God. Do you not say
exactly.
that? Yeah.
Exactly.
So
exactly. It's that.
Grow up, and it's a trap.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Peter Pan, because I think there's a level of irresponsibility. Because I think I'm going to be an adult. I want to be an adult, but I also don't want to let go of that. Oh, everything has to be so serious all the time.
The childlike wonder. For me, you know, they look at a flower so differently than a jaded adult. The color in the flower, the absolute fascination by watching a bee. You know, that is those little things, and that pulls you straight into the now. A kid is not thinking about next year.
They learn from them. Let them lead the way, because they only know how to be in the now. They're not worrying about tomorrow or the next day or next week.
Exactly. And I mean, the more and more this world, you know, we are, as light warriors, we're anchoring in this new world that we're bringing in. And the kids that are coming down now, the energy is slightly more supportive. So the ones, you know, giving them the opportunity to be in the now and not function in a school system and that type of stuff, it just deadens them.
He does. I mean, he's got a diagnosis of autism, ADHD, which is probably what I would have had as well, but we're different. We understand the quantum field, and actually being here and having this Newton's way of living it seems insane to us, because we've come to this timeline, but I feel like we're not of it. Like, you know what I mean? We're of somewhere else. Like, I've always connected with Pleiades. And
yes,
probably go back to my heritage, my Greek heritage.
Well, it's also because you are a light worker. Now, the Pleiadian type of persona brings out this light. You know, when you walk into a room, you'll be pushing out light. You'll be giving off this beautiful energy.
It's so funny. Me and my ex-partner were walking down the street one day, and we're both he's very like awake, like, again, like I met him on the plane, and our eyes met, and it was like I knew him, like that.
Yes, absolutely. It's souls.
It's souls. So that we did the whole twin flame dark night thing. It was horrible, because it was kind of like, it was just time. I don't know. Who knows? You never know. I'll never say never, because we're still really good friends. But it was me and him walking down the road one day, and we knocked people off the pavement because every time they tried to come into our field, they couldn't.
Yes, because the power was so strong.
Yeah, it was like, and I was like, did you just see that? Me and him were like both freaked out by it. We couldn't even believe that, actually. We knew we were a force. But I think that's when you come together with the other light workers, and like, you do become a force. You become
massive. And I think more and more so, you know, I'm seeing with some of my very conscious girlfriends, many of them are saying they just can't hang out and do the chit chat anymore. They can't just do the gossipy, girly things, because they need to be with the like-minded people to do that on a more conscious level.
Rather than just like talking about other people and like,
well, yeah,
talk about your dreams, talk about things that are like, you know, like good things, like, you know, I just want more of us to be accepting of each other in many ways, accepting of where we're at, not judging.
Well, that's the thing.
It's the judgment, isn't it?
It's letting go of judgment. Oh my word, that is a massive, massive thing to let go of, because, you know, ultimately we all are judging everyone, but biggest thing is we're judging ourselves.
100%.
So, you know, if you are judging others, you have not yet accepted yourself.
Yeah, no, and I've seen that play out in my life, and it's something that I actually had to really
it's a constant work work in progress. But the thing is, I think the minute you start getting cognizant of the fact that, oh, I'm judging there, I think already the work is done, because you set that intention going, oh, I check myself, I see that, please help me. Absolutely. You know, please help me to be less like that. And I mean, that is you've already made huge strides when you're actually cognizant of the fact that you are judging in situations. Massive journey for me on that. You know, it's but I think as souls, we place ourselves in places and countries where we are wanting to hone in on certain issues that we've come down to sort out. You know, and I placed myself in South Africa. Massive judgment. My God, massive judgment. But then I did make sure that I had a father who came from Scotland, who had grown up not in that situation as much. His was more of a class judgment rather than a people judgment. Yeah. You know, so for him, he always said you could check out, you knew exactly where somebody came from if you came from the UK by their accent. And I was like how does that work? It was just growing up, learning those things. And so every soul makes this list, I think, of things. And what I found was so fascinating is then doing star signs and knowing that your north and south nodes are the things that you've come down to work on, placed where you were born at the time, and it all correlates. Oh my word, it blew my mind.
I know, I've heard about that, and you're making me want to go more into that and understand that. I mean, there's so many levels and layers to it all, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. And it's just what I said to the people. I was talking at a talk on Friday night, to a whole bunch of enlightened people. And I was saying, all I ask you is that you're open.
Yeah, this is the thing. I feel like people can be in the shadow archetype to say they're saboteuring their life by being highly intellectual and ignoring the intuition. So when the intuition is not there and you're trying to use your logical mind all the time, and you're just in the ways you're just kind of like closed off.
Well, you're operating on half of a system.
Exactly. Whereas I think it's good to have the logic, because we need that. Definitely.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, all the Arcturians in this world, the ones that are IT based and doctors and they are the ones that are building things. They are logic. My husband is a logic kind of guy. If I come here and I say to him, oh, this and this and this, and he'll turn around and go, but Michele, where's the facts? You can't, he needs facts. Yeah. And you know, that is quite, because like I was watching some very well-known sort of highly respected person turning around, and he was saying something directly about how many people had died during COVID, and the fact that it was equal to, like, you know, previous years. And I said to Gavin, oh, you know, this and this and this, and you see, this is one, I really trust this guy. Like, and he turned around and he said, that's bullshit, Michele. And he went into like checking like 100%, because he's like scientific type, fact checker type person. And he gave me whole statistics about the fact that no, actually, you know, that is not true. He's cooked the books a bit and swung it to his opinion, and fair enough, but there's facts there already that's saying no, it's not like equal to, and half the facts haven't come in yet. And it just makes me very grounded, you know. And but he's pulling a lot of Arcturian energy in, because he's a fact guy, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm completely heart-based.
Yeah, I know.
You know, I go by my gut, but he goes on facts, and we need both of those in this world.
And we need those in the world. Yes, absolutely. I think we need to just be able. That's why I think we need to work with each other, and we need to be like, people who work in that science kind of medical world need to be open to the whole spiritual other aspect of thing, and see, okay, yes, these drugs serve as like a life. I think drugs serve people as a life jacket. I don't think they're meant to be used for long-term use.
Absolutely. It's something that we really need to stop just trusting people. Ultimately, oh my word, they said I must be this on this for my life. No, it's like you say, it's gonna help you, but don't rely on it. Do your very best to get off it.
Yeah.
And you know, so that you can live our life drug free.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, some people will think that's the only way to be healthy, because we believed and revered in medicine. It's put such a pedestal on these doctors and stuff like that, rather than tune into our own innate ability to heal and to listen.
Absolutely. And the thing is, the more I think, the more we realize, we start understanding that our illness in this body comes from stuck energy.
Yeah.
And an energy that's not moving through our body, and stuck trauma that we haven't released, be it from older generations or older lifetimes. The more we're going to progress in our medical sort of science and abilities. And let's face it, we're getting more and more heart-based people going into the medical side, which is going to become, I mean, I'm so excited for the next 10 to 20 years, because I know that this is going to be another renaissance.
That's what they say about psychedelics. The psychedelics is having a renaissance in terms of what it's been able to treat, and trauma's come up for that, addictions has come up for that. You know, these are all depression, untreatable depression that's not being able to be treated by medical drugs, right? So
yes.
What are we going to do there? You know, so again, it's just another way, another tool. You know, it doesn't have to you don't have to come off the drugs, but you can explore and try different modalities. Well,
it's, you know, it's a form. I still come back to the fact that you're a soul trapped here on earth. You may have come down too early, and that you're not able to cope with the heavy 3D sort of energy that you're in. And that is one of the reasons why you are. But the more we have parents that are understanding of that, and helping their children to process and move through, and giving them an environment that they can actually survive and function, without saying, slap them with Ritalin or put them into a box and, you know, oh, well, you're never going to cope. Put them in nature, because you know what? Nature is the healer. Mother Earth is the healer. So, yeah, I think the more conscious parents are going to become, the more we're going to see a world where it supports.
Close to nature, with the microbes, playing around. Ocean's very good.
Absolutely. The water will fix a multitude of things.
Yeah, I chose not to vaccinate Ocean. I chose to just let her immune system build up to its natural environment. And I think that was one of the best decisions I've made, considering my son and his diagnosis and what happened there.
Exactly. I honestly, I believe kids need to climb trees. They need to hug trees. They need to lie on the grass and do star things and walk barefoot. You know,
I think that was the best years of my child. I'll never forget my childhood in that way. I mean, there were some things that yes, I kind of was emotionally neglected by my mum, and I don't think that was very helpful. But I just loved to be outside, and I found my space, my peace in nature, and
mhm.
and yeah, definitely a witch.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh, well, I think on this note, we are going to end this recording. Thank you so much, Rebecca. Rebecca, how can people find you?
So my website is www.rebeccanicholls.love, and I'm on Instagram. I am Rebecca Nicholls.
Awesome.
I can send you over the information. You can leave it.
Yes, and I'll put some links at the bottom of this underneath in the comments. And it was so wonderful. And I think we'll stop the recording and then just carry on chatting. Thank you so much for coming.